Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Crew First Culture podcast. My name is Jeremy. Thank you for joining me today. Really appreciate your time. I had all intentions on my way home this morning. I just got off shift and took the 100-mile journey back home and kind of got myself fired up on a few different things and fully intended to come home and kind of lay that all out in this episode. But as I was getting pretty close to home, I kind of had another idea, and that made a lot more sense. So I'm going to have a guest, maybe two, on here in a few days to dig into what I was going to get into, and it's going to be great. I am really looking forward to it. If it's just one person with me, he's going to be a super passionate guy that is really, man, you can't hear enough of positivity and just love for the job that he has. If it's two, then basically same thing for him as well. So we'll see who I can get on, who we can rustle up together and attack that. It's going to be really looking forward to it. So anyway, had to kind of change topics, which just so happened to be another thing I've been thinking a lot about lately. Of course, it's something I always think about, and that's growth. Just it's part of my mission right now in life, my purpose, my whatever. Just I want to intentionally grow every day. I want to pursue that every day, and so you know, obviously there's a lot of that goes into that. First of all, it's just actually committing to it. But I heard some stuff through a John Maxwell podcast on the way home that really kind of made me start thinking about a few things I'd like to share. And so the first one is, and he worded it differently, and it kind of just makes more sense for me to say it like this. But the original quote is from Maxwell. But for me, my version of it is the only chance we have to make tomorrow better is through growth. And I hope that makes sense to everybody. I'll read it again. The only chance we have to make tomorrow better is through growth. And really that obviously encapsulates everything. That's not pinpointed on anything specific. It's just wide open, but that's how it is. That's the truth. Growth affects everything in our life. It affects the type of firefighter we are, leader we are, husband, wife, parent we are, friend we are, everything. If we are growing, we're becoming better in these areas. If we're not, then we're stuck where we're at. And if there are things that need to be changed, that's not going to happen unless we grow and make it better ourselves. And so that's kind of the thought that I wanted to lead off with. And kind of the direction that I wanted to start is right there. We have got to take responsibility for our own growth. We've got to. I I see it so many times, and I guess if I was honest enough, I there. Well, I'm sitting here trying to question myself, but there's no question. I have been on this side as well in the past of just relying on our department to give us the training that we are supposed to need, or to develop us in certain areas to prepare us for our job. And like I said, I have been on that side of it. We have a training division in my department, and I have been one of the people that just say, if there is something that we need to learn, then I'm sure they'll bring it out and teach it to us, or whatever. And it's not feasible. I don't care how big or even how small your department is. You're never going to be able to have a training division, a training department, a training officer, whatever. It doesn't matter how many or what. You're never going to be able to get everything you need to know from them. There's not enough time in the day. There's not enough shifts in a month. It just doesn't work. So for us to depend on somebody else to make sure we're competent, to make sure we're prepared, to make sure we know what the heck we're doing, it's just not really acceptable, I guess is the best way I can say it. And grab these lessons yourself. You know, there's so much opportunity out there to learn from some of the best, and it's so easy. YouTube, there's social media. I mean, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of great people and great training companies that have their own websites with material and videos and an endless supply of podcasts, webinars, online classes. You don't even have to leave your house or the firehouse to get it. And so in this day and age, it's just it's ridiculous to think that we're incapable of taking on that responsibility. It is our job to be prepared, and putting that on somebody else, it's just not acceptable anymore. So I wanted to throw that challenge out first, because I feel like that's where we need to start. I feel like, and that this topic is directly tied to the one that I told you I was so fired up about, is responsibility. I know that there are a lot of people out there that are doing, and I'm not trying to say that this is a huge problem in the fire service, but I think just in general, it's a huge problem for, people in general. It doesn't matter what social group you're looking at, or political affiliation, or occupation, whatever. People aren't taking responsibility for what they need to be doing, or what they need to be taking responsibility for. And so obviously it ties to the fire service as well. And so I just want to throw out three questions to really sit and think about. Spend some time reflecting. Anybody that's listened to a few episodes of this podcast know that I like to throw questions out that aren't easy questions to answer. It's not a yes or no. It's not a you give me a short answer right away. These are questions that you need to think about. You need to invest some time in. But I think these are, man, they're going to tell you a lot about yourself. So the first one is, what do I want to be known for? Or basically, what do I want people to think, who I am? The second one is, what am I actually known for? Or how do people actually see me? And the third is, how big is that gap? Because I would dare to say that we all are going to have a gap in those two. We all want to be known for, a certain level of character and readiness and dependability and on and on and on. But then what we're known for, or how people see us, is it's not quite there. It's going to be lower on that scale, because we're just not there. But the question is, how big is that gap? Is it a manageable gap where, you're working on it, you're really, really trying to focus on improving yourself and doing the things that need to be done to live up to the expectations you set for yourself, or are you just kind of coasting through, not learning, not growing? And is that gap gigantic? Because hopefully everybody sees themselves, with lots of potential, with lots of good things. So that's going to be high. But if we're not growing, if we're not challenging ourselves and sharing, adding value to others, the perception of others of us is going to be way different. So what's the size of that gap? And obviously that's not a measurable thing, but it's not hard to see. Man, I really need to work on some things because the person I thought I was, or the person I want to be, is nowhere close to the person that people are seeing me. And that second question, obviously it's going to take some reaching out to others. You can't answer that question yourself. You can't put yourself in a place to answer that question because you are not the other people that you're answering for. You've got to reach out to people you trust, people that know you well, people that are close to you. Those are the people we need to ask that. Those are the people we need to get that information from, so we have a clear picture of what we want to be and where we really are. And then it's just working on closing that gap. And I've talked about this before, and it's been a while, but those gaps are everywhere. Those gaps are in our competency. What we need to know, how competent we need to be, and how competent we really are. There's a gap there. How just in relationships, how loving of a spouse am I? Supporting am I? And where am I really at? There's a gap there. And so these are great questions to ask yourself and to ask others, because it shows us exactly where we need to start focusing our growth on. And that leads right into, kind of my next thought. And really, this is something that kind of came to me this morning for the first time. Like I said, I've been focused on intentional growth, daily growth, just that's a goal for a long time, for quite a while. But am I really being effective with all that time I'm putting into it? Am I being effective with all the energy and everything else I'm, putting into this goal of trying to grow? Am I really getting the most out of it? And by that, I mean, am I focusing it in areas that I need to be focusing it on? Or am I just, sucking up content of whatever it is? I just push play and whatever that topic is, I absorb it. Not that that's bad. I promise you, I've grown so much from that type of mentality. I've learned so much. I've gotten so much better in so many other areas. But I realized this morning that, and this is just my mentality. Like I've said before, I've got a pretty significant ADD type brain that I think is even getting worse by the day. So it is very easy for me to just hop around and bounce around and pick little things up of here and there and here and there. But am I truly getting the most out of what I'm doing? Because if I'm not focused in the areas that I really need to be focused on, I'm not growing as much in those areas as I should be. So for me, you know, a very quick area that I need to grow in for me to pick out is communication. That has been something that has been a complaint with people close to me, family, friends, coworkers, basically all my life. So, like I said, it's very easy for me to throw that one out there. So, like I said, this morning when this kind of started really coming to light for me, I started realizing I probably need to start focusing on books, podcasts, uh, YouTube videos of leaders that I trust and respect that deal with communication. That's probably what I should be doing. Is it what I want to be doing? Is it the most attractive thing for me to reach out and learn about? No, absolutely not. Because it is a weakness of mine. So I am naturally not drawn to it. I think that is a just a human being thing that we all share. If it's something that we are not strong in, then it doesn't sound attractive to us. We're not as naturally interested in it. So I think that's why, you know, well, one of the reasons why I've not really done that type of growing, really focused growth. So that's a big one. That's a big one that I need to really work on myself, and I'm sure there's a lot of others out there. So I'll say it again. Are we focusing on the specific areas that we need to be growing on? That's where we should really put most of our focus into, as far as what we're growing, or sorry, as far as what content we're absorbing and what we're seeking out for that growth. The next question to ask yourself is, are you looking for ways to apply what you're learning? Oh, it's great to absorb that content and to help it to change your mindset and change your attitude and this and that. But if we aren't putting it into practice, if we're not looking for ways to apply what we're learning and how we've grown, then really what good is it? What point is there to do this, to invest ourselves in these things, if we're not looking for ways to actually apply them to our lives? Physically do something that shows what we have learned, that uses the things that we have gained and grown. That's something we need to really focus on. So the last one in this specific area is, what are we doing, or are we even trying to share what we've learned with others? Again, just like that last one, what good is it to gain growth and knowledge if we're not sharing it with others, so others can reap the rewards that we have gained from it? So I feel like this is a really big one as well. We have got to look for opportunities, not only to apply these things to our own lives, but we've got to look for opportunities to use what we've learned, use the things, the tools, the skills, whatever it is that we've grown in our lives, to help others so that others can learn from us. So I think those are really good things to start honing in where that intentional growth is going, to really focus it in the most effective places that we can. So, just wrapping it up, the next level of your journey is coming. It's out there. the next opportunity, the next blessing, it's coming. It's coming to all of us in our own specific ways, in our own specific times, but it's coming. It's right around the corner. That next opportunity will be here before we know it. So what are we doing to be prepared for it? If we know it's coming, are we putting ourselves in a place that, we're growing, we're learning, and we're going to be prepared for that moment so that we can take advantage of it? Or are we coasting and comfortable and okay with just who we are, where we are? So when that moment comes, we miss that opportunity. We don't get to take advantage of that opportunity because we aren't ready for it. We haven't grown enough to take advantage of that. I think that is an important thing to think about, because I don't care what your situation is. I know my situation, and I know that, man, I don't want to miss an opportunity, because that could be anything. It could be an opportunity to, do something as a family that just changes our lives. It could be something as far as my job in the fire service, an opportunity that I could never imagine. It could be so many things, but you know what? It doesn't matter what it is. If we are not growing, if we are not preparing ourselves, we will not be able to take advantage of those opportunities. So that's where it's got to start. We've got to be prepared. We've got to be ready. I think to end it, a great quote to leave on is from John Wooden. He's got so many great ones. But he says, when opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. And that's pretty much, that sums up exactly what I was just saying. If we are waiting for that opportunity to arrive, to get ready for it, it's gone. There is no time to prepare when that opportunity arrives. We have got to put that time and effort in on the front end. We've got to continually grow and learn and stretch and challenge ourselves so that when opportunity arrives, we're ready to jump on and take advantage of it. Because like I said, it is coming. And we don't want to miss the opportunities. So that's all I got. Thank you very much for spending some time with me today. Like I said, please look for the episode with a couple good friends here. I'll hopefully have it out by the end of the week. Super excited about that. As always, like, share, subscribe, please, if you will. If you enjoy the content, just please help me share the message and reach as many people as who can. So thank you for your time. As always, stay humble and do work.